Today, we are going to talk about that all-important topic of money. If you're thinking about teaching ESL online, then you're probably asking and researching, well, how much money can I realistically make in a month? We're going to cover that, but we're not going to sugarcoat it. We're going to cover the realistic wages of working with an ESL company and how you can actually grow and improve your income as a freelance teacher. Hi friends, my name's Catherine. I'm from the OET. I help people, especially mums, start and succeed with an online ESL career that they can do from home around their families. In today's session, we are talking all about money. How much can you earn as an online ESL teacher? The session is going to be raw, it's going to be honest and very open about the realistic rates that you could earn working with a company online versus becoming a freelance teacher. Now, if you've listened to any of my videos in the past, then you will know that I recommend people who are brand new to teaching or brand new to working online within this industry to start with an ESL company. And there are quite a few reasons for that. One, when you work with an ESL company, everything is provided for you. So you don't have to worry about curriculum to teach with, where you're going to obtain students, how to deal with the financial side of accepting income from all these different countries. Two, it enables you to learn on the job whilst you get paid. So you're gaining experience, which then three will turn into confidence. So you will grow in yourself as your role as an online ESL teacher. So companies do have their place. However, a company's rate is not going to be the same or equal to what freelance teachers earn. So we're going to talk more about a journey today, starting out as a beginner and how your income can grow alongside your skill set. When we start with an online ESL company, companies tend to offer a lower rate because at the end of the day, they're running it as a business. So they want to make profit per class or per student that signs up with them. So let's say a company charges $40 for a class. So that $40 is charged to the student. Maybe they take the majority of that. So they might take $30 out of that $40 charge and you're left with $10. Now that $30 obviously isn't just going to the company. That is covering the resources, their teams such as sales, marketing, teaching, support, IT. All of those things are encompassed within that $30. So they might be left with a couple of dollars of profit from that full amount. So this is just to give you an overview of how companies might work, how they charge their students, and to help you understand why then you only get a percentage ballpark of that whole figure that the company charges. Now, we have touched on income a little bit before, and there is something that I need to make you aware of before we go through the rest of this session. There's a huge discrepancy in pay all around the world. And what I mean by that is that you could have extremely high qualified teachers. Perhaps you have native and non-native English speaking teachers. They both have the same qualifications. Maybe they have a master's degree. We're thinking like top here, so it's a good comparison. Maybe they have a master's degree in education or TEFL or teaching. Then they have their 120-hour TEFL qualification. Maybe they even have a CELTA qualification as well, which is a high teaching specific qualification. Now let's say that everything is the same, the only difference is their location. Perhaps you have one teacher, a native English speaker who's based in America. Then the other teacher is a non-native English speaker based in the Philippines. If a company is accepting both native and non-native English speakers, they will not be offered the same rate. The American teacher based in America is potentially going to be offered between $10 and $20. Some companies I have seen offer a little bit higher, maybe up to $30, but it's very few and far between. The average rates that I have seen current today is between $10 and $20 per hour for a native English speaker based in America. Now let's think about our Filipino teacher. Based in the Philippines, same qualifications, same teaching experience, they might only be offered a rate of $4 an hour. For non-native English speakers, a lot of the times I have seen between $2 and maybe $6 or $8 per hour. That's for teaching the same type of students, working with the same company, offering the same curriculum. The only difference is that teacher's location. So that's something that we need to raise early on in this session so that you're aware of those very unfair discrepancies around the world. Companies will say that they can pay up to a certain rate. So if they say, oh, we pay up to $14 an hour, if you're an experienced teacher, but you're non-native in a non-native English speaking country, your rate is not going to be anywhere near $14 an hour. So that's something to consider as we go through today's session. Now, when it comes to pay, I do understand that those are quite low rates. So it would mean that you would need to work quite a few hours in order to make this a full-time income. So what I suggest for people who are looking to teach ESL online is to start alongside whatever current income you have ongoing at the moment. Use this as a kind of topper, part-time income, play money as such, to learn as you grow. I recommend working with the companies to start with, even though it's not the top amount that you can earn per hour, because you need that foundation level of knowledge and experience. If you skip this step and you go straight from whatever career that you're currently in to trying to build a freelance teaching business, maybe you've never worked online before, maybe you've never taught a student before, your business is going to suffer and it's not going to take off the ground. It's really important having this beginner step, working with online ESL companies to set your foundation. So the company will do everything for you apart from teach the student. That's your job. So in terms of working with the company, it's beneficial and it's not a forever position. And that's what this conversation today is all about in terms of how much we can earn. Our initial rate, let's think of it as an apprenticeship. Apprenticeships do not pay as much as when you're a fully qualified, experienced individual in an industry. So think of working with an ESL company as your apprenticeship. It's your starting place to build up that experience, to build up rapport with students, to understand how your company markets and gains students, to learn what you like and what you don't like. Do you want to work with kids or adults or teenagers? Do you enjoy playing lots of games? Do you prefer real conversations? So it gives you the opportunity to actually find out what you enjoy as well, whilst being paid. This is the starting point only. Now let's think about what comes next. So after you've gained your experience, and for different people, it will take a different amount of time for how quickly your confidence will grow. So for some people, maybe you've worked with a company for 6 months now, you're very confident in what you're doing, you've figured out, actually, this is particularly what I want to teach, this is who I want to teach, I know where they are hanging out, I'm ready to start marketing. Then you can begin with freelance teaching and building up your business and word of mouth recommendations with your first few students. This is the exciting part. For some others, it could take 2 years to get to that point where you feel qualified, experienced, and confident to start going on your own path, to build out your own business and path teaching independently. When you begin to teach independently, that's when the fun begins in terms of finances, because you can set your own rates as to what you want to charge. Something that we're just going to pause for a second and think about. We need to make sure that we're still charging what our students expect. So you can't say, okay, I'm going to charge $200 an hour to teach a 3-year-old phonics. I know it sounds bonkers, but I have to put a very bonkers idea out there because some people will be thinking this. We're not teaching to take advantage of people. We're teaching because we want to help those people. So we need to be realistic about what income we set, but at the same time, it is our time that we're dedicating to these students, our experience, our qualifications, and obviously our extra planning time outside of the class to build the curriculum or research curriculums to use. We're paying for our own tools at this point. So we need to think about all of that within our rate. So what I recommend is researching what other people are charging. Have a look at the current market. What is it that students are willing to pay for? What is the company that you worked with charging students? That could be a really good starting point. So our example earlier, if your company was charging $40 an hour for a student, then you know that is an acceptable rate to charge students because there's already students paying for that rate. And it could be a nice starting point whilst you're just dipping your toes into freelance at $40 an hour. As your experience grows, your word of mouth grows, you can then raise those rates. You can also earn even more money by offering group classes. So group classes is where you have more than one student in the same session that's learning with you. So you could have, let's say, a group of 4 students, and you could charge each of them $20. That's a much bigger rate per hour because you're offering this group class. So let's say that's $80 an hour. That's incredible. And that is where we can start to see that this income is a viable full-time income to help us not just survive in life, but to thrive. Another way to actually increase your hourly rate as well is not just group classes, but specialist classes too. Now, I know teachers who have decided to go down the business route. So they're teaching English language lessons to professional adults. And if you're offering just conversational classes, the rate's probably going to be a little bit lower. But if you specialize, perhaps you've come from, I don't know, a veterinary background. You could specialize in teaching non-native vets English vocabulary and terminology from veterinary practice in English. And that's something that's going to be really beneficial for them to be able to apply for jobs that offer a high rate of pay because then they're bilingual. Or even offering a job in a native English-speaking country where the rates of pay might be higher for them. So you're helping them increase their income by teaching specialist vocabulary knowledge. So this is where you can charge a much, much higher rate than, say, if you were teaching just conversational classes. Again, if you're focused more on children, there are different ways that you can increase your income too, not just with group classes, but also by teaching specialists. So if you're focused on supporting children to pass certain exams, that can validate charging a higher rate because you are promising an end result to their parents. So we have the Cambridge exams, which a lot of families around the world do. So if you're teaching curriculum that specifically focuses on helping students pass these tests, then you can charge that higher rate. There are also, if you're also focusing academically in terms of helping them improve their grades at school, that's again something where you can charge a higher rate for. So if you're not just teaching general English, but you are focusing on, okay, this is your starting point, and with my lessons, I'm going to get you to this result, that's where you can charge a higher rate for your lessons. So in the beginning, just to recap, in the beginning, we are working with online ESL companies. And although the rate per class is not the best rate in the industry in terms of teaching ESL online, it is a great starting point to build up your experience and your confidence so that you can request those higher rates later down the line as a freelance teacher. When you're working with online ESL companies, you're not limited to just one company either. You can improve and increase your rates as you build up your experience and your CV. Once you start working with one company, that actually opens opportunities with other companies. And when they see that you've had teaching online experience, you can also negotiate a higher rate per hour as well. So there are opportunities there. Often, also, with certain companies, there are additional positions that you can apply for, such as teacher training, recruitment, quality control, and things like that. Not with every company, but there are opportunities out there with certain companies, even curriculum design, as an example. So there are other things that you can do to help increase your income that's not just teaching, but works alongside your teaching career that you're trying to build. And then once you have the experience, you've got everything, the knowledge behind you, you know what it is you like teaching and who you like to teach, that's when the fun begins and you can start building your freelance business and set your own rates. And this is when you are able to earn a full-time income without having to put in really long working weeks. So what are my top tips then for you guys as a brand new to the teaching industry? So number one is build up your experience first. So start looking for positions with online ESL companies that align with what you think you will enjoy. So whether that's teaching adults or teaching children and what sort of topics you might be teaching them, whether that's conversational English, building specific skills such as phonics or reading. So look for companies that align with your interests. Work part-time whilst you already have your current income as a safety net. It does take time for ESL companies to fill out your schedule. So it's important that you already have an income coming in whilst you build up your student base with a company and they fill out your hours. And that can take a few months. Also, diversify your income. So don't stick with one company. Try to work with 2 or 3 at a time, balancing out your schedule to ensure that if something happens to one of those companies, or maybe they let you go, or they fine you, or you just don't gel, then you have a couple of other companies as a backup. It also helps you to get a feel for the companies and see which ones are filling your schedule out more, which one actually does have students, rather than who's advertising they have students but cannot back that up with booked classes. So that's a really good top tip to diversify the companies that you work with. Build your confidence, see what you actually enjoy teaching, who you like teaching, how the companies work behind the scenes. Do they offer regular feedback? What conversations or how do they speak with parents of children? How are they marketing their classes? What curriculum do they use? And things like that. Pick out the parts that you enjoy and want to take forward, and then you can start planning your freelance business and gaining your first student through the doors, whilst you're still working part-time with the online ESL companies. We're very much slip and slide. You're working your current role, that's your full-time stable income, whilst you build up your schedule with ESL companies. Then you can eventually drop that full-time income once your income is stable with the companies and your bookings are full and you're earning a decent rate per hour. Then the same again. Okay, we've got this stable income with our companies now. We are confident and experienced. Now we want to start the freelance side. We are ready to take control of our own income and our own business. So that's when you can start marketing and finding your first couple of students, test the waters, learn as you go, and then word of mouth will start spreading with those first students and you'll gain more students through the door, so on and so forth. So you can gradually tip the balance to offer more freelance hours and drop a couple of those online ESL companies. Maybe you want to keep with one just for that extra bit of security, but lower the hours because you can earn more independently as a freelance teacher once you have those students through the doors and you've built that trust with the market. So this is the path that I personally recommend in terms of being able to actually earn a really decent income from teaching online. It isn't because you're working with companies. That's just the start. That's the foundation level to help you grow as a brilliant ESL teacher. The money part, the stable, thriving income comes when you are building out your freelance teaching business. That's when the fun begins. If you've got any question at all, please just drop a note or a comment and I will be happy to answer them. Or alternatively, maybe you're still questioning, is teaching ESL online for me? Then that's absolutely fine. I have the right thing here for you. You can join the Mini ESL Teacher Toolkit, which is a great starting point to help you understand the industry, what positions are available, whether it's the right opportunity for you, do you have transferable skills that would make you a great teacher, and so on and so forth. So inside the Mini ESL Teacher Toolkit, I have a guide on teaching ESL online, we have some quizzes to help identify your skills, and I even have an introductory job board so you can see what kind of work is currently available in the market. I hope that you have enjoyed today's session. It's been honest, it's been real, but it's also showing you the growth that you can have within your career as an online ESL teacher. I'll see you soon, friends. Bye for now.